All right, welcome back to Shelf Life presented by the Genesis Company. If you are new to the show here, we are a live, Live, live show every Thursday at 12 o'clock Central Time. We stream on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube. Why do we go live? Because we want you to be able to ask questions as we're going in real time. I love podcasts and I love YouTube. And I always find myself watching them going, I have questions, I want answers. And so we're live here for you guys. Genesis Company is a traditional representative brokerage group that really we specialize in Target and we specialize on Amazon and e-commerce, Meta. Basically, if you're a brand trying to grow at Target online, on Amazon, or on Meta, we help. And so today we are here to talk about the third of those, which is the Meta platform, and how we help our clients succeed on e-commerce. I'm Matt Adelman. I lead the food and beverage team here, as well as I am a lead on the digital side of the team. And so you get me instead of my normal compatriots of Chris and Jen. I don't know what they're doing today. They're doing something, but I'm here. I've got a few slides. I'm going to walk through basically where's Meta at today in 2025? What is working? What's not working? Where are we having success? All of that sort of stuff. And again, being that we're live, part of this is ask questions. If you're watching this in the future and you have questions on what we're going through, feel free to comment on the stream or just shoot us a note. But we want to do sort of a deep dive and leave you guys with a sense of, is this a channel that I really should be going after right now? Should I be deploying funds? Is it broken? What's going on here? How do I make sense of Meta in today's environment? Cool. So I thought it would be great to start with, is Meta still worth it? And the short answer is, yeah, absolutely. The longer answer we're going to get to over the next 20, 30 minutes. But look, if you're a D2C company, if you're doing direct to consumer and you're primarily driving through Shopify or any sort of website that you own and operate, you have to be on Meta. The average brand that is D2C only is spending between 40 to 60% of their performance marketing budget on Meta. Meta is the king when it comes to driving traffic online to D2C. Do you need affiliates? Do you need Google? Yeah, you do a little bit, but you've got to figure out how to win on Meta. If you're an omni-channel player where you're more focused on both your own Shopify and your own Amazon listing, it changes a little bit because you have to factor Amazon into the budget. But even then, Amazon never is more than Meta, almost never. Unless you are like a very huge Amazon company, you are almost always, as an e-com player, going to prioritize Meta. If you are a gigantic CPG retail focused, you're doing business in Target and Walmart and Costco and all of the big guys, maybe it changes for you. Well, not maybe, it does. Like, you're not using Meta to drive conversions as much as you're driving awareness. And so you still need Meta, right? You still need to have a bulk of your budget tied up in Meta, but you will shift to other platforms. Does it break out exactly like this chart? I mean, every brand is different, but generally speaking, if you are an e-commerce brand, you've got to be focused on Meta. I have an example here on the right. There's a company, I'm totally blanking on the name. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Well, I will figure it out later and say it. The founder of the company, Breeze is the name of the company. They're a big, well, not big, they're an up and coming THC beverage company, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Why I have this in here is because they're a year and a half, 2 years old, and the founder of the company posts his financials every single month on LinkedIn. So I'm assuming this is accurate. I mean, I don't know the company. I have nothing to do with them, but I follow his story. And if this is true, which I firmly believe it is, look at this is quarter to date, I believe, for Q1 of 2025. They drove almost $13 million in revenue. And most of that came through Shopify, right? Their Shopify revenue was 10 million. And most of that was driven by Meta. So Meta is the little blue that's hard to see, the very first ad channel breakdown. Over $2 million was spent on Meta. Google is important. X is there, although not very important. Snapchat, Amazon is important. AppLovin is very important, different topic altogether, but Meta is the king. Like, here's a prime example of a D2C focused company doing, 9 figures, 10 figures of revenue, and Meta is king. It works. So is Meta still worth it? Yes, it is. Does it need to be a part of your portfolio or of your creative or your performance marketing? Yeah. Yes, it probably should. Cool. Now that we got that out of the way, what we wanted to talk about today stemmed from issues that we saw last year. So I'm in this group called the E-commerce Fuel. I get nothing out of mentioning them other than they're a great group, and I participate a lot. And so someone had posted this March of last year. This was a $5 million e-commerce company, and you can see their post. Something is seriously broken with Meta, like bad. We can't seem to troubleshoot it. From January to March, we're averaging blah, 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 blah. That was high for us. Next thing we knew, Facebook costs were rising, even though we were working on improving creative. On March 3rd, our CPA jumped to $130. CPA is cost per acquisition. It jumped from, call it $30 to $130 overnight. No changes. It just jumped from 28 to 130. And since then, we cannot get below $75 for get sub 50. We have ballooned like insane, right? This was not a individual random person posting. Every single company in ECF, which is a community of $1 million plus e-commerce companies, everybody who is very good at Meta was having major issues with Meta last year. And it quite frankly caused a whole lot of companies to ask questions of what in the heck is going on? Is this working or not? I'm still fielding questions today. It's May 2025. It's a year later than the post that I have on the screen here. And we get it all the time. Meta's broken. Doesn't work. Well, yeah, it doesn't work like it used to. And I think that was spring of last year was really the turning point where brands had to figure out what is this new normal of Meta. And so let's go through it a little bit. What was going on before, we'll call it spring of 2024, and what's going on now? I think the first thing is that, let's just be honest, guys, people were really lazy with creative. Prior to 2024, really, I mean, if you go back to 2015, 2016, up through COVID, really, and then COVID, a couple years post that up until early last spring, broad interest targeting through static creatives was really simple. You could create just a random generic ad like what I have on the screen, just a picture of a bottle that says health supplement. Try it now. You could put that on Meta. You could target really well pre-iOS 14, and you could get it to exactly who you needed to and follow them like crazy through all the tracking. And this little simple ad would convert like crazy. Okay, so that's what people had in their ads and their ad campaigns up until last year, right? The other thing that was happening is that you could have just one ad in your campaign and scale that thing. So you had simple ads in your campaign and you had ads that would stay forever, right? I have a friend who runs a food company, and he was showing me his ad set, was it like 2 months ago? And he still is in this one winning ad mentality. He showed me, look, I've got this ad. It's done over $1 million for me in revenue. And you look at the rest of the ad campaign and there's nothing. And that one ad mentality that you could just scale, it worked forever. But here's the new reality. And I'm getting a little head into what's changed. I've got a screenshot here of one of our clients. You can see it's all today. I took it this morning. One ad is driving the results here. So one ad is driving 407 purchases in this time period, but there's a bunch of other ads that are really contributing. And you start to see these lower performers, they did really well out the gates. So I'm highlighting an ad here that did 17 purchases. Frequency got to 2 super fast. And look at the cost of acquisition, it's $200. I mean, it was super high. That thing fatigued in like 3 days. The first one here is still fairly new. It hasn't fatigued yet, but we're approaching that 2 frequency number, which, it worries me a little bit. This thing's going to fatigue, but like ad fatigue happens so fast now. You can't have one ad just sitting in your account and sort of wipe your hands clean and move on, because the algorithm just, it doesn't work that way anymore. Okay. What else used to work really, really well? Well, you used to be able to retarget like crazy. You used to be able to have a prospecting ad that you could, spin up and put, I showed you the really easy, simple creatives. you could get a ton of impressions, you could get a ton of views, you could get a ton of people interested, and you were able to very, very, very strongly retarget people based on all sorts of things. Did they add to cart? Did they watch my video for 20 seconds, or did they watch it for 30 seconds? Did they watch it all the way through? Has it been 3 days, 7 days, 14 days since they interacted with whatever piece of creative? And you could go have all these retargeting campaigns and go find all of these people really, 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 really easily and really cheaply and drive a whole lot of purchases. And so that was kind of what was happening at this time a year ago, where these ad accounts had been structured and set that way. And I don't know if the algorithm just got boom, blown up. I don't know if Meta purposely made the changes, but it doesn't really matter why. What matters is that the algorithm completely changed and we are in a new world. And it is no longer a set it and forget it world. It is no longer a simple static image world. It is no longer a, anybody can get by on Meta ads. Like, you've really got to have a team that's dialed in and really working on this. What's working great? High volume creative testing. With UGC, you cannot just have UGC by itself. You have to have high volume of creative with UGC, with Founder. It's got to be built on hooks or testimonials or very good education, very good comparison ads to other products. You've got to be having at least 10 creatives per week minimum in the ad campaigns so that you can let the algorithm start to just tweak and test and find out what's going to work. Founder-led content is so strong right now. Real customer clips, fast cuts, keep it interesting. And Tiana, if you click on the link to True Classic, I want to just show you guys what does True Classic's ad library look like. So True Classic is a pretty big e-commerce company. They sell men's t-shirts for the most part. At least that's what I see their ads. Look at this. Scroll up to the top, please. 2,300 ads currently running on Meta for this brand. 2,300. How many of you just have 23? How many of you just have 2? Right? Like, the scale that you have to be at nowadays is just the reality that we're in. And it doesn't, I am not saying go make crazy, Hollywood produced like crazy high budget ads. You just need a lot. So Tia, go ahead and scroll down a little bit. Static images. Some of it's the same creative, just different headlines, different hooks, different concepts, different colors. Maybe you have a different text of what is in the actual headline of the ad, but you got to get a ton in there. You have to have a ton of ads in Meta right now if you want to really optimize Meta's algorithm to start finding out the winners. And so I'm not saying don't go copy True Classics, because it's not going to work for you. I promise it won't, because it works for them. But you can take the idea of what are some of the things that they're doing and how might you do that for your brand. And how do you scale up, right? How do you get to at least 10 tests a week? I think that's the challenge that every brand needs to hold themselves to. We're going to flip back to the slides here. So high volume creative testing with some modular UGC built in. What else is working? Or actually, I want to talk about one other thing real quick. Go to the next one, please, Tiana. Okay. I get this question all the time because, at the Genesis company, we're working with big companies, right? We're dealing primarily with big CPG companies that are calling on target, and they're not necessarily founder-led anymore. That's okay. If you're not founder-led, I saw this ad by Gatorade. I'm going to show it on the screen here. And sorry if you're not on the screen watching it, but if you are a company that has a fun, good founder story, I encourage you to think about what Gatorade's doing here. So go ahead and play it, and then I'll talk about it.
A history of winning started with the 65 Gators losing steam, losing sweat.
We've identified the problem. What is the solution?
A drink scientifically designed to hydrate better than water, so they could sweat more, win more, and change the game forever.
Boom, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam.
Naturally, we called our stuff Gatorade.
Now, I love that ad. I am not a Gatorade drinker. I don't usually care for their ads because it's unrelatable to most brands that work. We don't have the budget that they have. But that ad, I saw it during the NBA conference finals the other night. I was watching my Minnesota Timberwolves get their butts kicked, and the Gatorade commercial came on, and I was like, oh my God, how cool is it that Gatorade, it has always been so dominated by their affiliates and their athletes, and that's all you see in the ad. I had not seen them go back to their roots of why they were created in the first place. Half of that ad is the founder story of Gatorade, right? They're going back to why it started in the first place, and trying to reintroduce this whole new generation of people that have no idea what Gatorade was actually all about in the first place, while keeping it super relevant, right? They have Kendrick Lamar in the background, and they still have their athletes, but they're showing Michael Jordan highlights, and they're showing other major milestones that were achieved using Gatorade and the founder story, and making it relevant. Like this is such a great example of what any brand out there, every brand has a founder story. Tap into it. Okay, so number 2, what else is working? I already said you've got to have a ton of content, a ton of content. That content needs to go into Advantage Plus, ASC, Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, whatever. It's Meta's algorithm. Gone are the days where a media buyer would go in and actually target anymore. You can do it. If you're the greatest media buyer in the world, maybe manual targeting still works for a very small handful of brands. But the reality is today, these algorithms are getting good. You've got to give them enough volume of creative to go test and go try and go put out there so that they can find the ads that actually resonate with the groups of people that want to see those ads. So I've got 2 examples here. Again, I pulled these this morning. This is real-time data. 2 examples of where brand on the left, it's got a bunch of creative in there, but it's kind of sort of, the algorithm is like, guys, this is not great. Like, we think it's good. We thought it was good enough to launch it, but the algorithm's like, you got 1 purchase here, guys, and not a lot of views because this kind of sucks. Versus brand on the B, or brand B on the side, they also have a bunch of creative, and it's really disappointing to see some of the creative on the bottom that's only getting 200 views, 400 views. But the top creatives got 207,000 views in the last 14 days, which for this brand is fantastic. 123 purchases in the last 14 days, average purchase price of $70, which is great for this category because we plowed the 10 plus creatives a week into this campaign, like I mentioned before, into Advantage Plus, and we're letting the algorithm go find who it needs to find to go do stuff. And I've got a second bullet point on here that you have to focus on quality creative, right? Because the example on the left side here is a bunch of good, we thought it was good enough to launch creative that is getting no spend because the algorithm, it's not good. Like, we have forced spend into the left side campaigns and we're not getting anything out of it. Versus the right side, literally took those ads, threw it in Advantage Plus, didn't do anything else, set the budget and let it go. And that's the world that we're in today. High quality creative into Advantage Plus, let it go. Now, could you do bid caps and cost caps and could you do all these other things? Sure. I know they work. I know they work really well. There's some fantastic meta minds that are way smarter than me that talk about cost caps and bid caps, and yeah, they have their model. But for us mere mortals, Advantage Plus works pretty dang good if you can get really good creative in there. And that's where we tend to lean towards most of our brands. Targeted ROAS campaigns, like, there's lots of other options. But I really see those more as a certain brand works really well with those. Certain brands work really well with the way we're doing it. And so, like, you got to test both. But at the end of the day, the route that we tend to see working for our clients, Advantage Plus, high quality creative, go. All right, the last thing that we're seeing on Meta, and this, it all goes back to creative. I think that is like my sum for all of this, which I hope is not rocket science for anyone here or like groundbreaking, but think about what TikTok has done to just general way people consume and what all of these algorithms are doing now, right? YouTube has shorts because of TikTok. Instagram has reels that they try to make shorter and shorter to compete with TikTok. Everybody is dealing with what I call the TikTok effect. You got 3 seconds to break through to somebody and you better keep their attention. And if you can't do it, you're done. And I don't care if that's a video or static image or whatever. You got 3 seconds to make a hook and capture somebody. So 10 creatives, if you're following me, 10 creative tests a week going into Advantage Plus with really, really, really strong hooks. Okay. And the hook then has to follow a actual framework of here's what I hooked you with. Now here's what I'm going to talk to you about. Like if I did this webinar today and I said, here's Meta in 2025, and then I spent the next 30 minutes talking about, YouTube ads, I would have lost all of you. But I'm like, why am I here? You said you were talking about Meta. Why aren't you talking about Meta? It's no different in our advertising. Whatever you hook them with, you better keep them the whole entire way talking about the hook, which is duh, of course, but so many brands, they just don't do this. They want to go right into like features and benefits and why you need my product, but it doesn't relate back to why people were hooked in the first place. And they wonder why their ads don't work. Prime example, right? I've got 2 examples listed out below here again from ad accounts as of this morning. The example on the left, 123 purchases in the last 2 weeks. The hook rate on this ad is 42%. That means 42% of people watch at least 3 seconds of this. The hold rate, 12%, which is really good. 12% of people watch all the way through, which doesn't seem like much, but it's enough to generate a lot of volume, right? The hook rate, 42%, hooked them with a thing, and I forget what the exact hook was on this, but then we followed the story. We kept people with us after they were hooked. 12% of people anyways followed the whole thing compared to the ad on the right. Hook rate's even better. 46% of people watched at least 3 seconds of this ad, and only 5% stuck with us. Our story got jumbled and lost, and something broke in between there. And it could be the story, it could be the creative, it could be a subtitle was weird. Like there's lots of things that you have to figure out, like why are people falling off? But that's the thing, right? Like hook them, keep them, tell a great story, get them to convert. You got 3 seconds and you got to do it. Okay. A question is coming in, and guys, if you have questions, please go ahead. I don't know everything and I'll make up lots, but drop them in the notes if you have a question. Are there types of creative formats that typically work best right now on Meta, and how often should I be refreshing? Well, I kind of talked about a little bit 2 slides ago, and you don't have to go back to it. We could just stay here, but what's working really great on Meta right now is video. Founder-led videos are phenomenal right now on TikTok. And again, like the Gatorade example, if you don't literally have the founders of the company anymore to make videos, find a way to tie your founder story in still. People are really resonating. They want real, authentic stories. It's not just about features and benefits of products. People right now, especially online, want to relate to somebody, something, right? So I think founder videos are working really good right now. Videos in general that are just conversational with people are working really well right now. UGC video is a staple, but it can't be your overly produced, I'm just a UGC influencer. It's got to be real, like a real person that likes the product, which is, again, these are no-brainer things, but it used to be so easy to just spin up a bunch of UGC and throw it in there. That doesn't work anymore. Like you cannot just go mass produce a bunch of random UGC ads and expect them to take off. It's got to be real, authentic people telling real, authentic stories. How you do that, you got to figure it out. But that's what we really see working. How often should you be refreshing? I will stick to 10 new creatives at a minimum, 10 new creatives a week, which is 40 creatives a month. I mean, I know brands, if you go back to True Classic, they've got 2,000 and some active ads right now. I bet they're doing 100 new creatives a week, if not more. You don't need to refresh the winners though. Like if a winner's winning, let it ride until it lags and starts to fatigue. But you've got to refresh all those low performers, give them, I mean, it depends on how you run your campaigns, but usually we're giving them 3 days to 7 days to see if the low performers actually start to get some spend and get some traction. And if they don't, it's as simple as turn off, new one, right? And don't feel bad if you put something in the ad account and it doesn't do what it needs to do. It's all right. Like be happy if you get, I don't know, 10% of your ads to take off. That's a big win. So, and Tiana, if I'm missing any other questions, or please chime in. Uh-oh, do we lose our slides? Oh no. I thought I had one more. Tiana's telling me no more. I thought I must have left the last one up. So I mean that's really like my goal for you, if you watch this whole thing, was to go, well, duh. Like, I want this to be simple that you can actually go execute and take the takeaways from us and go implement it today. Because the beautiful thing is that it's not complicated. It's complicated to get the scale. Okay. Like, you got to have a system and a process. And we can certainly walk through how we do that here. If people need tips and tricks on how to actually start producing more stuff. But the reality is it's easy to win on Meta, but you got to really put in the work. It's not as simple as it used to be. And don't go just get a bunch of AI created stuff. That doesn't work either. We didn't even talk about that, but you got to get real people, real thing, emotional stuff that people can actually resonate and relate to and believe in. And then you got to be strategic in how you scale it up. And it of course can get more complicated, but at its basic, that's what's winning today in the new world we're in. So I am going to wrap this up unless there are any other comments here. Again, if you're watching this in the future and you have questions on anything we went through, drop us a note, shoot me a note on LinkedIn. I'm on there all the time. But until next time, everyone, we'll be live again next week. I hope if you're watching this in real time, you have a great Memorial Day. It's Memorial Weekend. I'm going to go relax and enjoy, and we'll be back at this next week with more Meta content. All right. Until next time, take care.